Bring you in warm, or I can bring you in cold.
It's a positive film. It has heroes and villains, and that it essentially is a fun movie to watch. It's been a long time since people have been able to go to the movies and see a sort of straightforward, wholesome, fun adventure.
Well, it's a fantasy. It's not science fiction so much as it is space fantasy. And it's about people. It's finally about people and not finally about science.
The story, when you actually put it into words, is only so much nonsense to hang a great visual experience onto. It's the stuff that fairy tales are made of.
Sort of boiling down religion into a very basic concept. The fact that there is some deity or some power or some force that sort of controls our destiny works for good and also works for evil.
Marvelous, healthy innocence. Great pace, wonderful to look at, full of guts, nothing unpleasant. I mean, people go bang bang and people fall over and are dead, but, no horrors. A sort of wonderful freshness about it, kind of like a wonderful fresh air.
It's got whatever you want it to be. It's pure entertainment. It's like a roller coaster ride, and it can be interpreted as long as you enjoy it, which is the intention.
And welcome back to Generation Skywalker and the first of our Mandalorian special shows, a look back at the Mandalorian. I'm delighted to be joined tonight. First of all, Stu Skinner. How you doing, Stu?
I'm all good, mate. All good. Looking forward to this one. I've just rewatched the episode. Amazing. Love it.
Yes, same here. I am looking forward to it. I'm glad you are too. And what a treat just rewatching that episode. And we're also joined by Dan the Man. How you doing, Dan?
Podcasting is a complicated profession.
Oh, it is, isn't it? Yeah, very much so. Mate, I know how much of a fan you were of this series, so I'm looking forward to getting your sort of points, facts, observations and bits and pieces. It's going to be a good ride, this. So I'm looking forward to tonight's show. And we are also joined by Martin this evening. Martin Woodgate, how you doing, buddy?
Yeah, good, mate. How are you doing?
Yeah. Very well, thanks for asking. Martin, you're becoming a regular now. This is the third time we've had you on the show this year.
Oh, I'm sure you kick me off just as quickly.
No, mate, it's brilliant. It's great. We've had you on for two of our vintage collecting shows, and now to have you on for the Mandalorian. Now, if you could sum up, I'm just going to put you on the spot now. Mandalorian, right now, what does it mean to you?
Really enjoyed it, actually. I think it's one of those things. I think it just came along just at the right time with everything that we needed to restore a little bit in Star Wars. So it's good, and it's good to look back on it as well. Looking forward to this.
Absolutely. Oh, good stuff. So there we go. Yeah, all four people really, really. I mean, here we go. A bit of a spoiler alert. Four people who quite clearly really enjoyed The Mandalorian when it came out. All lifelong Star Wars fans who have had our fair share of ups and downs along the pathway. I'm sure that there are stuff which may well come out in the next few episodes where people can share their displeasure at certain things in the past and some things which Disney may have done. But for this, in the round, I think it's going to be a big hit. But before we go into it, I'm going to ask each of the people on this show tonight what character they could associate themselves with in The Mandalorian, apart from The Mandalorian. And I'm also going to ask each of you to sort of describe one of the others as well. So first of all, if I said, right, Martin, who would you be more closely associated to, do you think, in The Mandalorian?
I reckon Cara Dune.
Oh, right.
Dependable,
Okay.
dependable, loyal, and thick thighs that could crush a bowling ball.
All right, yeah, fair one. I like that. Now, What about Dan? Now, I have said to you guys, don't be cruel, but banter is okay. So, Dan, how would you describe Dan from a character in The Mandalorian, mate?
I think I'd say Danny's probably most similar to Grief Karga. He's
Ooh,
kind of calm, confident demeanor. Dishes out tasks in the show notes like bounty pucks.
yes, liking that. Yeah, that's very good. I'm sure Dan's very pleased with that. So,
I was chuckling. I was chuckling.
Also, his hair's never out of place as well. So,
right, okay, Dan. Who would you say then? Are you most like?
Who I'm most like? I thought the question
Mm.
was who. Okay, I would. I don't know. Quill. Is it Quill? The little Ugnaught dude. He's pretty grumpy at times. Yeah.
Right, okay, all right then. So Quill, little grumpy guy, and then I just heard Stu go, "Oh yeah, I got that for Jez." Brilliant. Yeah, okay. So there might be a few Quills come up. All right then, and in that case, we've already heard what Stu had for me. But Dan, I had asked you to come up with a Mandalorian character for me. What Mandalorian? Go on.
Well, Jez.
Blurg.
Now take this the right way. You're bald,
Right.
and you're 50.
Right.
It's got to be Baby Yoda.
Ah,
Because you look a little bit. You look a little bit
awful. I thought, you know what? If I'm not being nasty to you, Jez, okay, I would have gone with Miggs Mayfield.
Oh, right. Okay.
Kind of like a little bit like military, kind of little tough nut, of shaved head,
Right.
kind of
Okay.
brave.
Yeah.
Kind of stupid.
I thought that was a good one.
Yeah.
So you're bald and you're 50, and you look probably a bit younger than you are. So
Does he?
Yeah.
All right. I think one of the next.
That's why Stu never gave you.
I thought that when I saw the show notes. Next to my name.
I'm just fed up with Stu being cruel to me. Okay, so Stu, what about yourself?
Well, I would have gone with Baby Yoda for me because I'm the cutest, but or Bo-Katan,
right?
Because we're very similar looking and very similar behaviours.
Yeah.
And we both like to be called Bo.
True. Yeah, indeed. What about Martin? And what did you have lined up for Martin?
Here we go.
Actually, Martin, I'm going to be very kind because I was watched the first episode today, and I thought you were the Razor Crest, kind of like seen slightly better days, but you're dependable. Still working hard, still doing his job. Yeah,
and that was kind, was it?
Oh, trust me.
We won't talk to what happens to him at the end of season 2 then.
Yeah.
We're not going that far tonight, Daniel. Always ruin it.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
All right then. So far tonight, then I've been Quill and I've been Mix. Right. Okay.
Baby Yoda.
And Baby Yoda. Right. Crumbs. I'm getting a whole load here, aren't I? So yeah, I had
and the Blurg.
And the Blurg. Yeah, I did hear that as well. So right. Okay. So there's a few there for me to choose from. I would say possibly Fennec Shand, possibly, because really quite old but still packs a punch, and there's a bit of a so I would say there's probably quite a few characters I could be in Mandalorian, but there's one which I think could be Stu, and I've known Stu for a long time, very, very good friend of mine, and a real family man, and someone everyone just loves. Everyone loves Stu. So I think Frog Lady would be the ideal person, because there's a real sort of maternal paternal thing there. She's got a little family, got little froglets, and frog spawn even, and just when you see Frog Lady being reunited with Frog Husband and all that, it just warms your heart. And Stu, you warm my heart. So there we go.
Oh, thank you, Jez. See, and Mix wasn't a bad one either, was it, for you?
Mix wasn't a bad one. No. So look at that. New audience listeners, know us a little bit more now, and we just eased ourselves into it. Isn't that lovely? Right then, let's talk about The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian.
The Mandalorian.
Mandalorian Hunter.
Din Djarin.
Martin, can you just talk us through the development about this? How the whole Mandalorian thing came about when we first found out about it?
Yes, mate. Well, this was actually a show that had been in gestation in some form or another for well over a decade before it hit our streaming device in 2020. As far back as 2005, George Lucas wanted to make a live-action Star Wars TV series. He wasn't thinking Jedis and lightsabers, though. This time he wanted to explore the criminal underworld of the galaxy instead. So he teamed up with producer Richard McCallum, who he'd worked with before, producing Young Indiana Jones, as well as both the Star Wars prequel trilogy and the special editions of the original trilogy. And together they penned some 50 scripts for this new show. They came to the realization, though, that the tech just wasn't really there yet, and the budget required would have been immense to achieve what they wanted to achieve, so Lucas shelved the whole thing. Now, fast forward to 2017. Lucasfilm has been part of Disney for 5 years, and President Kathleen Kennedy reached out to Jon Favreau to help create original content for Disney+. Favreau pitched an idea to Lucasfilm that was inspired by exactly the same stuff that inspired Lucas before. Westerns, samurai films, World War II movies, and old space serials like Flash Gordon. Lucasfilm liked what they heard and paired Favreau with Dave Filoni, who'd worked directly with Lucas on Clone Wars and had expressed an interest in exploring Mandalorians in a live-action format. By 2018, Favreau was already well into writing for the new show and was able to give us a view of the timeline. The Mandalorian, as it's now named, takes place 7 years after the Battle of Yavin and 5 years after the supposed death of the Emperor. Whilst the Empire didn't fall overnight, the resulting power vacuum would provide a breeding ground for outlaws and bounty hunters in what would be a massive tonal shift for Star Wars live-action production, and as Lucas had envisioned all those years before. And then there was the budget. Season 1 alone was expected to cost around $100 million, and by late 2018, the casting announcements started rolling in too. Pedro Pascal is revealed as the lead alongside Gina Carano, Giancarlo Esposito, Werner Herzog, and Carl Weathers. And it was all starting to fall nicely into place.
Brilliant, mate. That's awesome. Thank you so much. Now, I'm going to jump about a little bit because one of the first things which you said, absolutely rightly, was it came on to our streaming platforms in 2020. But that's not entirely true, is it, really, it came into our lives in 2020? Fellas, I'm just going to put it out to you. What am I sort of getting at there? Just sort of going off script slightly.
Is that in the November before in the States, wasn't it? Because they got Disney Plus before us.
Yeah, absolutely. So this was, the flagship show from a Disney Plus point of view, and the fact that the Americans just had it, as you say, in November 19, and we had to wait technically, officially, legally until 2020. I mean, we'll come on to how that sort of all came about shortly, and as to whether or not they could ever do that again. I mean, can you imagine now a big new series being dropped months earlier in one country? And I don't think that would ever be happening again. But
I think because it was the launch show, wasn't it? They launched the whole platform with it, so there'd be no reason to do it again. Would it? It's out there. So, but it's like the old days, would it? When even when we had Phantom Menace released, it came out 3 months later in the UK than it did in the States, and everyone was getting pirate copies of it back then.
Yeah.
When one chooses to walk the way of the Mandalore, you are both hunter and prey. How can one be a coward if one chooses this way of life?
So, Martin, awesome. Dan, I'm just going to ask you now just to briefly talk us through the history of The Mandalorian, because what I think this show did brilliantly was, regardless of whether or not you were an avid Star Wars fan, whether or not you had just seen the original movies, not the prequels or anything like that, you just had an outside knowledge, you were still able to watch this movie, to watch this TV show, follow it and understand it. But that whole onion peeling thing, there was so much deep and rich history behind this, which is hinted at throughout without having to mansplain. So, Dan, if you can, just take us back to this sort of bare roots, the history of the Mandalorian in a nutshell.
But you're a Mandalorian.
Mandalorian isn't a race.
It's a creed.
When most people think of Mandalorians, they picture armor, jetpacks, and possibly Boba Fett standing silently in a doorway. But Mandalorians aren't just bounty hunters. They're one of the most complex cultures in Star Wars, and their history explains why they are almost entirely missing from the movies. First, Mandalorians aren't a species, they're a culture. Anyone can be a Mandalorian if they're raised in the way and follow the creed. What defines them is loyalty, tradition, and strength. Their Beskar armor isn't just protection, it's sacred. Passed down through generations, it represents family, survival, and identity. Thousands of years ago, Mandalorians were feared across the galaxy. They were conquerors who went to war with the Jedi themselves. To fight Force users, they developed specialist weapons, grappling hooks, flamethrowers, wrist rockets, tools designed to neutralize lightsabers and the Force. That made them legendary, and it also made them targets. One symbol of that ancient power was the Darksaber, forged by Tar Vizsla, the first Mandalorian Jedi. It became the symbol of leadership over Mandalore. Over time, Mandalorians believed only someone strong enough to win the blade in combat had the right to rule. Leadership wasn't inherited, it was earned. By the time of the Clone Wars, Mandalore is broken from centuries of conflict. A pacifist government called the New Mandalorians, led by Duchess Satine, rejected the old warrior ways, but not everyone agrees. A radical group known as the Death Watch believes Mandalorians have lost their identity and turns to terrorism to restore it. Civil war weakens Mandalore from within. That division explains their absence from the prequel trilogy. Mandalore is neutral, politically isolated, and deliberately distant itself from its own past. Even Jango Fett's Mandalorian status is publicly denied. Then the Empire arrived and finished the job. Seeing Mandalorians as dangerous and impossible to control, the Empire launches the Great Purge. Mandalore is devastated. Its cities are destroyed, its people are slaughtered, its Beskar armor stripped away. Survivors scattered across the galaxy, forced into hiding. That's why in the original trilogy, we don't really see any Mandalorians, only Boba Fett, a lone figure wearing the armor of a nearly extinct culture. And that brings us to the Mandalorian. When we meet Din Djarin, Mandalorians aren't warriors ruling the world anymore, they're refugees. They live underground, hiding their numbers, melting Beskar scraps into armor, clinging to fragments of tradition. Din isn't chasing glory or conquest, he's trying to survive, one job at a time, carrying the weight of a culture that almost didn't make it. Mandalorians didn't disappear because they weren't important, they disappeared because they were powerful, divided, and nearly wiped out. This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way. This is the way.
Awesome. Right. So we now know a little bit more about the background as to why and how long this took to come and about the Mandalorians themselves. Stu, the basics of the production, because this was some quite sort of groundbreaking technology here. What can you tell me about how this was put together, mate?
I think, first of all, the people they got involved, the creative leads. I mean, we haven't mentioned them yet, have we? Jon Favreau, writer, executive producer, and Dave Filoni also producing, directing. So a great line actually today. Favreau brought blockbuster storytelling, Filoni brought Star Wars soul. And it really did work, didn't it, when you go back and watch this?
Yeah.
Most of the filming, it happened in Manhattan Beach Studios in California. Started in 2018 for season 1, and then the other 2 seasons between 2019 and 2022. Very little traditional location shooting. Most environments were created digitally, which we'll get onto in a minute. So first of all, then, StageCraft. I'm sure you've all read about it. The Volume, developed by Industrial Light and Magic. Instead of green screens for this production, they used like massive curved LED screens that surrounded the actors. I'm sure is there something on Disney Plus about these?
Yeah, on the galleries.
Yeah, but as I say, I'm sure I've watched something about this. They kind of had real-time 3D environments, which were rendered in Unreal Engine, and then camera movement updates, perspective constantly moving up. That doesn't make any sense.
It does, because as the cameras were panning, the images in the background moved as well, so it felt like gave you that perspective.
So why they did it then? Real lighting reflections on armor and faces. The actors can actually see their environment. Faster post-production, less travel, and set building. So it's kind of imagine acting inside a giant HD TV that shows another planet, and that's kind of how they were filmed. It changed TV production. This was quite a big breakthrough. It cut costs compared to constant location shoots. It makes cinematic visuals possible for TV schedules. and it has since influenced the likes of House of Dragons and a majority of the Marvel series. Industry folks have actually called it the biggest shift since green screen. So, yeah, well done, big wigs. Yeah.
Awesome.
Practical effects were still heavily used, Jez, as well. We should just say that Grogu was heavily used practically to make sure the performances were grounded. So it wasn't all digital there. Yeah.
It was cool though, because when you think back to like the original trilogy and the prequel trilogy, all the breakthroughs that Lucasfilm then, it did feel like the sequels were just kind of spinning the wheels, whereas this was doing something innovative again, proper ILM, new technology and something new that hadn't been tried before, which I think adds a lot to it.
Are you Mandalorian?
I'm a simple man making his way through the galaxy, like my father before me.
Did you take the creed?
I give my allegiance to no one.
Boba Fett had always been one of the coolest characters in the original trilogy. So much that they were like, right, yeah, well, we need to have Jango Fett, we need to have, little Boba Fett and stuff. We want to continue the Fetts because of the whole just coolness about it, the good, bad, and the ugly vibes, all that sort of stuff. And then the fact that they were going to dedicate something to the Mandalorian, it's like, right, well, what does that mean? Who is that? Where are we going with this? We're going into the unknown now. And if I think back to that time of Chicago Celebration in 2019, there was so much hype about the Mandalorian. But I think people still weren't fully into it, maybe because of sort of sequel trilogy feeling or what have you. But also because it's this TV show. I mean, first of all, who was there?
I was at the panel.
You lucky thing. Right. So, yeah, we went to Celebration. You got a panel ticket. The only panel I got in the entire 5-day celebration was the 20th anniversary of Phantom Menace. So, yeah, good for you. How was the panel, mate?
It was brilliant. I mean, just to say, I was really excited for this and for the show. I mean, I think it was the Christmas before that. So when was Celebration? It'd been the April
2019.
Yeah, so the Christmas 2018. Then I think Christmas Day, Jon Favreau posted on, I think it was on Instagram, a picture of what everyone thought at the time was IG-88, and you're like, oh wow, IG-88 is going to be in this. So I was already, just for that alone, I was excited. And yeah, the panel, I didn't have a great seat. I was kind of in at the back in the kind of top tier, but everyone was going crazy, the DJ and everything going on. But yeah, they brought literally the whole cast on. So Carl Weathers was there, Pedro Pascal.
Yeah.
I think I can't remember if Nick Nolte was there or not, but there was they had a full stage of people. Dave Filoni, Jon Favreau were there. They showed a sizzle reel that was fantastic. Of all and they talked a lot about how they'd one of the guys who worked at ILM, they built a model of the Razor Crest, so they revealed the Razor Crest at this show, and they were doing shots of it. And I think this guy, the way they described it was he did it in his garage at home, was doing flybys, but using the same kind of camera angles and camera movements as the original trilogy. And they did several of those. I think they're in the show, but then they started to kind of replicate them using CGI. So there was a number of shots they did that were using practical models, using those camera movements. And they were obviously really into that and talking a lot about the show. They showed the sizzle reel and then they showed the trailer. And yeah, everyone just went nuts. I think the bit that I walked out, and I think I bumped into you, Jez, and Stu pretty much straight after. And I was like, IG-88's mad. He's spinning on his hips. He's shooting people. It looks fantastic. That was the big takeaway from me. But yeah, it looked great.
Yeah. So yeah, Stu, we were sharing a room, and I, as I said, I didn't get a panel. So quite clearly, you didn't get a panel for that. What were your thoughts on it? How hyped were you, or were you not?
Do you know what? I can't recollect being. I'm going to say massively hyped, but I think I probably was. I haven't got any memory of it.
Yeah.
I can remember watching it. We watched it it was a really busy area in the hall. I can remember standing watching it, but or whatever they were showing. Do you know they show pictures of it, don't they, on the screens? But
yeah, they don't show you the reels, do they? They won't show you the trailers, and there were a few sort of hooky videos being recorded, weren't there? Even though you couldn't record it, but yeah,
but
that was at the time as well when The Rise of Skywalker hadn't come out, wasn't it? So they were. I think they were naming it there, weren't they?
That's right. It was. That was.
So I think there was a lot of hype on that as well. So that would have taken a bit away.
Yeah, that was the celebration when the Emperor laughed at the end of it.
Yeah.
The
I've been
trailer
to that
dropped
panel on my own.
Right.
Yeah, I was in that one as well.
I sat next to some crazy woman.
So yeah, you're absolutely right. The whole thing really was about Rise of Skywalker, and this was just one of those additions. But as you said, Dan, you were hugely up for this. There was a lot of Mando chat in Celebration. In fact, you all know that I collect Malcolm Tween artwork, and I've got all of his artwork from all of the celebrations. And the one which he did for 2019 was just called The Mandalorian, without even knowing what was going to happen on the show. So he just did a very moody, sort of dark picture of behind what appears to be Boba Fett, but it is a Mandalorian. It's not the Mandalorian as we know it from the TV show, but it's a Mandalorian looking at a Millennium Falcon just taken off and sort of screaming past with a lot of dust being recirculated. So that was one of the first, or yeah, probably one of the only Star Wars images that Malcolm Tween has done, which isn't canon or or thought about from that sort of canonic theme line. So yeah, there was lots of uncertainty. I remember just seeing a video on someone's phone that they had taken, and I remember seeing the sort of Salacious Crumb being span on a spit, and the video of Mando just walking along, just thinking, yeah, that does look really moody. It does look really just, I don't know. You know what I'm like. I'm like a little excitable bunny for a lot of this sort of stuff, and but I don't think I quite expected what was to come.
Good morning, Chicago!
So Dan, in that panel, they actually gave away quite a few things. They'd spoken about the various directors. You could quite clearly see Jon Favreau and Dave Filoni just talking about this passion project of theirs. And up until this stage, really, Jon Favreau was probably mostly known for, I don't know, I'd first seen
Iron Man.
Well, there's Iron Man, but in Friends as the ultimate fighting champion and Monica's boyfriend. So man of many talents who's been around for ages. But yes, they had put together quite a great cast ensemble. But they had mentioned holiday special, the holiday special rifle, westerns and samurai influences. They'd even mentioned Caravan of Courage because they'd spoken about blurgs. They showed the teaser. There was all sorts of stuff, but again, they were then bringing the whole fans into it. They were talking about the 501st.
Yes, I was about to say that. So they got this drafted in a bunch of stormtroopers because they didn't have the armor, or they wanted to use the fans, and
And what a great way to generate hype and interest there as well. I think in that panel, they had also mentioned, or you'd seen an element of Darksaber. There was talk about the Darksaber, and then there was the sort of classic celebration. Everyone goes crazy for a giveaway poster.
Oh yes, of course, I've got that.
So yeah, all sorts of stuff there. So yeah, if people weren't hyped already, they were certainly going to get towards it. So let's talk about hype. Go on.
I was going to say, I remember the Mando Mercs were out in force in that at that panel, and they got a big shout out as well. So they were all grouped together. I think there was about 20 different Mandos all stacked together.
And it's lovely to see, because I remember like seeing sort of Mando Mercs and from my first celebration in Essen, and then seeing Anaheim and then Orlando, and the Mando Mercs being this group which has got bigger and bigger. But people were looking at them, and unless you were a fan of the Clone Wars and had seen all those other things, because a good proportion of Star Wars fans are only really the movies, I guess. And they were like, "Who are you? What are you? I don't recognise your characters." But this was, finally their sort of justification and
it was their show. You got that feel. They were like, "This is our show now."
Yeah, absolutely.
Would you like to be a Mandalorian?
Yes, and Mandalorians are my favorite characters.
Right? Obviously.
Yeah. Right? I mean, if you're going to play anything, you want to...
Right. Just for the helmet.
So that's how we... Yes. We got Mandalorian Mercs over here, right? There we go. There we go.
Wow.
And going on from the hype then. So we're all hyped up with this. And at the time then, Disney are dropping a couple of trailers. So they had two primary trailers. And then for those people who were going to be getting Disney Plus in November in America, they had a special look dropped the day before. And it was just like an additional trailer saying, almost last chance to get Disney Plus. How did you feel that those trailers went down? In comparison, we were used to film trailers. What do you think about this Disney Plus trailer?
Well, I think because you had Rise of Skywalker's coming out at the same time, I think it did put it in the shade a little bit. But it was for me what I was more excited about. I mean, even before Rise of Skywalker came out, I had my problems with The Last Jedi. I didn't know where it was going to go because of the way it ended. I didn't like the way it ended. And then was talk, JJ came into the rescue. So it was for me. I was excited for it. I thought the trailers were good. I was ready and waiting for it, and just annoyed that I couldn't get it through Disney Plus on the whatever date in November it came out on.
Right. Yeah. Indeed.
It was nice to see lots of nods to the original trilogy as well, wasn't it? I mean, I think it opened up, didn't have sort of remnant stormtrooper helmets in the sand and stuff like that.
Yeah,
and there were lots of good bits, from back in the day that got me interested straight away. Had a nice feel to it.
Yeah, had a nice feel to it. Absolutely. I think that opening bit with the stormtrooper helmets in the sand and on the spikes straight away it gives you that impression of post Jedi. I would suggest, the Empire has fallen, post Jedi. What we're looking at here. And just a blend of shooting, of music, of just something different and exciting. Yeah, I was up for it, but as I said, I didn't quite realize how much I would enjoy it. So we had to wait until May 2020, but I know for a fact that the day this dropped, now we're not gonna, out anyone, but that someone with the initials PD helped me out no end, and I wonder if that same person helped you out. But
P Diddy.
P Diddy. It certainly wasn't P Diddy, but a friend of ours, another Peter with a surname of D, helped us out with regards to getting hold of recorded copies of this particular first episode. I assume you guys all watched it on the as soon as possible on the first day.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, we were getting we had our little Facebook chat, didn't we, with all the Star Wars Forum UK lot, and we had a spoiler thread. So if anyone wanted to jump in there and talk about it, they could. People were so worried they were going to get spoiled. But I think we was all throwing links about. I think there was plenty of on a Fire Stick you could watch it and all that good stuff. It wasn't hard to get it. So yeah, that's what Disney get for not giving us it on the same day of release.
Yeah, absolutely. How many Disney Plus subscriptions did they not get in the UK because people had already seen it? Who knows? So Dan, can you give us a synopsis of Chapter 1 of Season 1?
So The Mandalorian, set 5 years after the fall of the Empire, opens with the lone Mandalorian bounty hunter Din Djarin capturing a bounty on the icy planet of Moldo Kreis, showcasing his skills, strict code of honor, as well as his ship, the Razor Crest. After escaping the jaws of a giant monster, the Ravinek, he travels to the planet Navarro to cash in his carbon-frozen bounty, where the bounty guild leader Grief Karga tells him of a mysterious high-value contract. The Mandalorian accepts the contract from a shady Imperial known only as the Client. With little information other than the target is 50 years old and a tracking fob, he journeys to the desert planet of Arala 7.
There he meets the Ugnaught Quill, who assists in reach the location of his target on a bipedal creature known as a blurg. On arrival, he teams up with assassin droid IG-11, who is already on site and has been assigned the same bounty. Together they fight through the mercenaries guarding the compound. Inside, they find not a criminal, but a mysterious green child of the same species of the legendary Jedi Master Yoda. IG-11 prepares to eliminate the child, but Din intervenes and destroys the IG-11. Baby Yoda reaches out his hand towards Din's as the credits roll.
Lovely, lovely nutshell. So our first episode, 41 minutes. It was sort of 36 in total. So yeah, released on the 12th of November 2019, directed by Dave Filoni, written by Jon Favreau. And yeah, so that's it in a nutshell. But lads, what did you think? If you can sum it up, Martin, just that whole first episode, because you probably started watching and thinking, yeah, in for a penny, in for a pound. Let's see how this goes.
Yeah, I thought it was a brilliant episode, start to finish. I thought it whipped along at a good pace as well. Lots and lots of action. Also set the scene really well right at the start. Gives you, the Cantina fight, for example, gives you a great framework of who this new character is, what he's all about. And yeah, it was good, enjoyable romp. Lots of original trilogy references, which we all lapped up as fanboys. Yeah, all good, nothing bad.
Stu?
Yeah, I loved it. Watched it today. I haven't watched it for a while, to be fair.
Yeah.
But just the opening scene, the opening bar scene, him coming in, kind of very Wild West, kind of picking on the wrong guy, and then he kind of shoots them all up. The scene in the door where he squashes the squid head in half. Love that.
Yeah.
And then just everything about it, the coldness of him, the way he shoots IG at the end. I love IG. The first time I ever saw IG go mental, I was like, I loved it. And but you're right. There's so many little like fan drops in there. The Salacious Crumb on the spit, and the other one in the cage looking at him worried, and all that kind of stuff. It's just brilliant. I love it. I really enjoyed it, and I wanted to. It was quite late tonight that I watched it. It was about 6 o'clock. I actually just wanted to carry on and watch the next episode. So yeah, it did suck me back in.
Yeah. And Martin, you said it went at pace, didn't it? You look at it and you think, oh, 41 minutes. They cover a lot. They really do. In that, the fact that I said it's actually just 36 minutes if you don't have the end credits. They do canter through some stuff. But I think it's paced really, really well. Dan, you were clearly hooked right from the beginning.
Yeah, no, I loved it. I loved it. And the thing that I think that it does best is it has got the OT vibe. It really feels like the original trilogy, and I know they've gone to great lengths to get that, but just the style of the storytelling, even the music. It's not John Williams, but the music is just so Star Wars now to us. It was done so well. But that was probably the thing I'd be most worried about if I was making something and having to do the music for Star Wars. That we need to make it sound like John Williams. But I thought they were really brave in that respect, and the whole thing came together really well.
Yeah. So okay, you mentioned music there a couple of times. So who is the main maestro behind the music?
Ludwig Göransson.
Yeah, indeed. And bit of a dude. There's a lot of stuff about this fella on Disney Plus, isn't there? Because he is a real sort of tour de force with what he's bringing. What have you seen there, mate?
Okay, so I mean, let's be honest about it. The soundtrack hits totally different. Watching it again today, the theme tune is just doesn't sound like classic Star Wars, but it totally fits the show.
Yeah.
So and I mean that's obviously not accidental. It's deliberate. It's a musical reinvention for Star Wars, and it's not kind of your grand orchestral Jedi score. It's like lone gunfighter vibe in space. Ludwig Göransson, known for Black Panther, Tenet, Childish Gambino collaborations, and he's renowned for blending like electronic, ethnic, and experimenting with sound. So he's instead of just copying that classic Star Wars music, he's what would a space western sound like? And I think he's done it.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. And I think it's I think it was a real brave choice because initially I was like, oh, okay, don't know this person, and you think, right, who can replace John Williams? And you don't want another John Williams, do you? You want something completely different. And I think it was Jon Favreau who said, yeah, we want a dystopic twist to it. If Filoni had said that, the different was key. They wanted something completely different. And yeah, to bring this guy along who's got all of his electronic sounds, but he's still into traditional as well as brass and wind and everything. As you said, the themes there just really, really hit. And now they are part of our Star Wars DNA, aren't they? It's just his particular bits and pieces and the wind bits, and that's announcing his entry into a room or a stylish flourish after a particular maneuver or something or other. It's just very much that good, bad, and the ugly vibes, and so I think they really, really nailed that Western side. Yeah, no, love the music aspect.
I mean, Mando's a loner, isn't he? And I just feel like the music just kind of has that raw kind of loneliness to it. It's kind of I did find a really nice quote about it, but I can't find it. Oh, here you go. The Mandalorian soundtrack proves Star Wars doesn't have to sound like Star Wars to feel like Star Wars. Sometimes all it takes is a lone flute, a heavy beat, and a guy in a helmet walking into the sunset. And that's, yeah, I'd say that sums it up.
Yeah, brilliantly. Absolutely does.
Different was big. Different was key. And it's something that, for me, I experienced first talking with George about music. Star Wars music can cover a vaster array of sounds and design than you think. So when you were immediately talking about different sounds and you brought up Ludwig, and I was like, wow, this is like, I'm having that moment again, and it makes complete sense for what we were doing.
You needed to be the person who wasn't going to be scared to just march out there.
But it's all, you guys just made it really fun. And like, you took the pressure away. You just like, basically after every meeting we had, like, have fun with it. Just like encouraging to just experiment. You're just so open for experimentation.
Yeah. Well, you also did a great job. I mean, we wouldn't have been that way if we didn't like what you were doing.
And you guys, you'd said earlier on about, it feels like Star Wars. It feels like, sort of OT nods and stuff. I think they had a really great blend of old and new. I like the James Bond style intro. When I say James Bond style intro, you know what I mean? There's that opening sort of action scene and then cut to, Adele singing or what have you. And so they had this opening thing of the tracker Puck, and his finder, his tracker finder, and pigging and going towards that sort of cantina bar, the action scene, which we'll come on to, and then the sort of credit bit, and then going into the rest of the show. I thought that was cool because what are we going to have? We're not going to have an opening crawl, are we? We're not going to have this. We're not going to have that. So it's just, this is how we do it on Disney Plus. The familiar stuff, the Gurindin, the spy from A New Hope, with his little flute. I just thought it was brilliant. There's so many aspects which I really liked. I think they added so much to this show, but without mansplaining. They're some of the language and some of the things they speak about. They're like, Bounty Puck. He's talking about, he's young. His must be really sweet. And then he's like, you've never seen a fledgling Mithril evacuate their thorax. And it's just world building and doing all this stuff and just adding bits and pieces without just regurgitating old or PT, OT, ST type of stuff. I haven't evacuated since the solstice, and then he's talking about Life Day and all these different things, but then all of a sudden you see carbon freezing bits and pieces, that familiarity. So you've got the new, you've got the old, but we can't move on first of all without talking about that cantina fight. Dan, you said it about him laying it down. I mean, is an opening gambit, is an opening action sequence. Let's just talk about what we liked from that cantina fight.
I think the first thing it reveals, and when he gets to the bar, the guy comes over and talks to him about his Beskar. Is that real Beskar? So we're like, well, what's Beskar? Because we hadn't really heard that referred to before. So first thing is he's got Beskar armor. So which is a big thread through the whole of 3 seasons, really, how important Beskar armor is. But they introduced that concept immediately.
Yeah, less is more sometimes. Silence is golden. The guy just walks in, doesn't say anything. He's very, very quiet all throughout the entire thing. Doesn't say a thing. apart from the whole I can bring you in warm or I can bring you in cold cut to music. But yeah, Beskar, for those people who are absolute diehards and have read all the books and comics and that and the other, yeah, they'll know. But as I said, for a good proportion of us, yeah, what's that? What are they on about? Quite a violent opener.
Yeah, I mean, you've already mentioned Squidhead. He doesn't have a very nice end when that door iris is closed and you just hear his legs flop to the floor.
Yeah, but yeah, it's a proper action-packed fight scene. But it's a weird one because it's the sort of thing which you think, yeah, I'll watch out with my family. Quite happy to watch out with my family, and I think all the family, wife, kids, this, that, and the other. It's only in a couple of later episodes of Mandalorian you might be thinking, oh, someone's just been actually knifed there with a dagger. What age will I have my child watching that? But I just as an opening thing with a good blend of comedy. I think the humor of the Mithril, I just think, he's quite a likable character, isn't he? He's just one of those guys who's always trying to sort of get themselves out of a sticky situation. But that opening thing.
That's because he reminds you of you.
Right, yes, another one.
You got a fish face.
Yeah, I do, and I do need to every now and then, evacuate my thorax, and my musk is quite sweet. So yeah, all right. Yeah,
I didn't realise the character that he didn't have an actual name. The species is Mithril. I mean, his action figure says Mithril. I think they still call him Mithril when he comes back later on in the second season. But yeah, he hasn't actually got a character name. That's just his species name.
Yeah.
This feels a lot better. I haven't evacuated since the solstice. Yeah, I was hoping to be free for Life Day. Maybe even get home to the family. But I guess that's not going to happen this year.
Probably not.
The opening thing, I think it was brilliant. The way it worked then into getting to the Razor Crest, seeing that, and just seeing what Mando was capable of, and the fact that he's got one or two tricks up his sleeve. I thought was brilliant.
That creature that attacks them, I mean, just not the actual creature itself, but just the concept of the creature attacking the ship. I think that's very holiday special because I'm pretty sure that Boba Fett in that original cartoon's got that rifle and shoots the creature that's attacking Luke when he's in the Y-wing. So I think that's meant to be a bit of a nod to that when he's shooting the beast so they can escape.
Oh, absolutely. And we'll come on to it later with regards to Mandalorian, Boba Fett, when Vader says no disintegrations, and then you see what
he can do with that gun.
I love that. So yeah, just the opening sort of 15 minutes or so. So the fight, and then all the sort of whole carbon freeze and stuff. We're used to seeing carbon freeze in Cloud City, but this dude's got one in the back of his ship. I mean,
he's got a portable one, hasn't
he? Yeah, I mean that's pretty cool. So
the way when the Mithril went sort of gone downstairs, and he's having a little poke around, isn't he, in the Razor Crest, and all of a sudden he comes up on these carbonite slabs just hanging there, and you see his face drop, and he knows what's coming.
He does, and he tries to again. He tries to appeal to Mandalorian, but he's like, "Oh, yeah, I was hoping to get back to my family," And he's like, "Yeah, I guess that's not going to happen." Nope. And so I think up until this stage, Mandalorian, he's not said much. He's done so much, but he's really, really not said much, and that sort of links into later on. He's then, as he's handed over all of his bounties, and he goes off then to see the client, and that's when you see the remnant stormtroopers, and again the familiar, the old, some really skinny, dirty-looking stormtroopers who are missing their sort of thermal detonators and whatnot, and that whole sequence where the Dr. Pershing comes through the door, and then everyone all of a sudden gets itchy triggers. And Mando's like got 4 stormtroopers aiming at him, and he's telling them to put his rifles down. And the stormtroopers are like, "Yeah, we've got you 4-1." And what does Mando say?
I like those odds.
Yeah, brilliant. So badass. Just one small line, and again, sort of articulated, yeah, you're nothing. I am the baddest. And yeah, I thought that was great.
I think just before that as well, when he goes to meet, he goes and meets Apollo Creed.
Yeah.
That was interesting as well because that gives you a bit more kind of world building because I think he tries to pay him, doesn't he, in Imperial credits, and he's like,
Yeah.
no way, and I think he ends up giving him. I think is it Mon
Calamari
Cal?
flan? Something
Yeah,
like
and they're
that.
like
Yeah,
these
yeah.
jelly coins.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. So the subtitles, I think, call it calamari flan or FLAN. But you're absolutely right. They look like squeegee jelly coins. And
And
then he
it's
says, "But I,
interesting as well that he was willing to take, because he basically said, I'll pay you half what it's worth if I
Mm.
give you these. It was interesting that half of those now were worth more than the full price of Imperial credits as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah." It says a lot, doesn't it? And there's as he walked in there, lots of aliens, lots of people looking at him suspiciously, and but and Grief Karga talking to you about the guilds and all that sort of stuff. So as an observer, as a watcher, you're like, right, okay, now I'm understanding this. But it didn't feel like it was getting mansplained to me. It was just, I just think it was just very, very
Unfolding.
good. Yeah, I
They
think,
gave us enough, didn't they?
yeah.
Gave us enough to figure it out without ramming it down our throats.
And again, you're absolutely right. I think for the different layers of appreciation of Star Wars background, lore, knowledge, etc., because he then starts to talk about, oh, it's good to see Beskar, back in the hands of Mandalorian, after what you've endured, etc., etc. Mando just walks out. But again, for those people who have read all the books and seen the Clone Wars, there's stuff for them. But there's as a someone who isn't aware of all that, you can still completely keep pace with what's going on, and you're not thinking, "Oh, what am I missing? Well, I don't understand. I don't understand." So, I think it's written so well
Yeah, it was clever writing
for all people. So then after that, goes off down some stairs, and all of a sudden, Mando's not the only Mandalorian you see.
No, goes to see the armorer, doesn't he, with the down payment he's been given, which makes him a pauldron.
Yeah. I thought that was quite a nice scene, actually. That again, so much is being shown from a sort of storytelling point of view. Because if he goes down, initially you just see one other Mandalorian. Oh, is that Boba Fett? What's going on? And then you see another, and then you see young Mandalorian kids running, don't you, in sort of opposite direction. And then all of a sudden you realize that there's an underground sort of dwelling of Mandos, and then you say he goes to see the armorer, and the whole thing with that where she is then thanking him, taking this Beskar, and you see what that is, and then the whole process of him getting his pauldron and the flashbacks he has, because we love a flashback on Disney Plus Star Wars, don't we? I think all the shows have a flashback at one stage, it seems. But just showing what he was like when he was a foundling.
Yeah, because I think obviously an important which we obviously mentioned the dude with his flute calling the speeder across, but one arrives it's kind of an Uber with a R2 unit driving it, and he sends it on its way. He's clearly got a distaste for droids, and you start to get a bit of a distaste. Why you have a bit of a flashback to the Clone Wars and see some battle droids in there, obviously, attacking the village or town where he lived, and you start to learn more about that as the show goes on.
I guess you're absolutely right. And I mean, bringing that back to now, and people becoming more tech savvy and becoming more paranoid or suspicious about things. No, I don't want that near me. I don't want droids near me because of recording capabilities or this or that, or what can they do? I mean, some areas in your workplace now, a few years ago, you might not have been able to have a mobile phone or a computer. Now you won't be able to have a certain type of car key because of what's in these in these particular type of smart car key devices. No, can't come anywhere near work or what have you because we don't know what they're capable of. Yeah, just I'm going to keep my distance from droids, maybe from the whole death element, but also I just don't trust them. I don't know what they're doing. So yeah, absolutely. But it was a great scene with this armorer just opening the cabinets and seeing the tools of her trade, and then that almost not the initiation thing, but just you could see that the Mandalorian is rising in stature because all of a sudden he's got this one element, this Beskar pauldron there.
Because his armor is an important part of the show as well. Obviously, at the start, his armor's pretty beat up and multicolored and looks like a patchwork quilt.
Yeah, it's almost like, Cub Scouts, start off their journey with one little badge on their arm, and come the end of it, they've just got like an arm of badges. I mean, that's the Mando with his Beskar, isn't it? That is just growing as his journey advances.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
We've already mentioned this dude on a couple of occasions, but as he's going along, and he gets to the planet Arvala, or Arvala 7, where Queel is. He's got the whole blurg thing, learning to ride the blurg and getting on with that. And then this is where we get like all the memes of, I have spoken. And, what are your thoughts of the whole blurg and Queel relationship and that?
I still haven't watched any of the Ewok movies, so I wasn't familiar with blurgs at all. I thought they were pretty. I mean, I know you're not a big fan of them from when we've done Modern Way before, Jez, when we talked about the hot toy, but I think it's a very Star Wars-esque looking creature. It's kind of like a kangaroo with a big fish head on it. I think they're pretty cool.
Stu?
I like them, mate. Again, I know that you're not keen, but like you said earlier, I've known you for quite a while, and I look at it and I just think of our memories together.
Right. So I need to put this to one side. So I like the blurgs, right? I'm seriously, I like the blurgs. We were talking about hot toys, and one came out, and I was just like, I'm not spending that much money on a blurg. That was all it was. I like them. I think they definitely have their place in The Mandalorian, and I thought that they were quite good fun. And I'm not anti-blurg. I'm not anti-blurg. I do quite like them. But yeah, for me, as an initial Hot Toys purchase, it wasn't going to be a blurg. It was going to be a Luke Skywalker. That's all
I'm going to go and find the episode and clip it now.
Yeah, I don't think he's remembering that right, Dan.
All right. Okay, I will go and put that in now. Let's just have a little look at that blurg.
I can show you to the encampment.
What's your cut?
Half.
Half the bounty to guide? Seems steep.
No, half of the blurg you helped capture.
The blurg? You can keep them both.
No, you'll need one. To ride. The way is impossible to pass without a blurg mount.
I don't know how to ride blurg.
I have spoken.
He's also mental for the blurg. I think it's ridiculous.
Oh, it's not, Jez. I mean, what's wrong with the blurg?
It's just a big lump of blurg. I mean, it's a great name for what it is. I think it's because, for me, buying a hot toy, that investment, it needs to be iconic. Sort of me, OT, I guess I get totally why Craig got the Leia, and then, Craig's got the Darth Vader, because these are like, key major figures. Who on earth would just want a blurg? Unless they've got lots of these figures because they just need it to complete a set. But it surprises me when Pete, who doesn't have any hot toys, chooses the blurg. It is, his standout one.
I like it. I haven't got one. I'm getting a bit of envy of people who have...
But you've got like 50 hot toys.
I've got 12. I've got 12.
You needed to finish a run, Dan.
Well, look, if you could get... Because I've got IG-11, I've got the Mandalorian, I've got, various others coming. But to have that kind of sat at the back... Because Quill's a little tiny figure, but to have him on something like that in a display, I think would look quite good.
I think it'd look amazing as well. If you do.
Have you ordered a blurg? Have you got one?
No, but I've also seen, because it's topical on the groups at the moment.
Yeah.
I keep looking at it and thinking, I really do like that. And I've got a lot of Mandalorian hot toys.
Yeah.
So when I do get them all out and set up, I do think to myself that there's a great big... I love Quill as a character. He reminds me a lot of Pete, actually, with him being here. And the blurg, which reminds me a lot of Jez. It'd kind of be like Jez giving Pete a piggyback in my bed, in my room.
Happy to.
Yeah, I think you're crazy slagging off the blurg.
Not slagging him off, just saying he's not welcome.
Perhaps if you removed your helmet.
Perhaps he remembers I tried to roast him.
This is a female. The males are all eaten during mating.
The humor in this, I think the humor throughout this first episode was done really well. And then the humor links into the IG-11 scene as well, because when Quill and they get on the blurg and they ride along, and he's like, that's your quarry, that's where he is, and that's when he sees the droid IG-11. And as you guys have already said about watching this guy just throw it down, kick ass, and spinning around and shooting away, let's just talk through that scene. Martin, how did that take you?
Yeah, no, that landed well. Because I mean, I hadn't really thought about how an IG moves. So that was, yeah. I mean, it was that was pretty strange, but it was good. I mean, he's accurate. He's nimble. It's a good fighting machine to have with you.
I love it that he just keeps going.
Yeah.
Oh, self-destruct.
Yeah, that's it.
Amanda's like, what are you doing? No. Yeah, no, I've got to self-destruct now. And he does it about 3-4 times because Star Wars has always been humorous. And actually, there's not loads of humor in this episode, but that bit there,
yeah,
he keeps doing it and it keeps going back to it. And it is funny. And then in the end, Mando shoots him in the head anyway.
Yeah.
She's kind of like, all right, okay. Yeah.
I thought it was brilliantly written. That whole thing, no, I must do this, I must do that. No, I'm initiating self-destruct. No, and yeah, as you say, that's still now, after having watched it several times, I just think it is chuckle worthy. It does make me laugh. So no, I think that was really good. But from an IG-88, IG-11 point of view, it's that justification of why you saw, from a vintage figure point of view, why he came with two weapons. And it was like, oh, Bosca's got one, Dengar's got one, or Boba Fett's got one. Why has IG got two? And you saw him lay it down, and it was brilliant, spinning around and shooting. It was just like, what a team they were, duck and cover. It was great watching those two. For someone who was anti-droids, to team up with a killer droid, an assassin droid, I thought it was brilliant.
He does what he has to do to get the job done, doesn't he?
Yeah, absolutely. That whole scene, just going through molly, just taking people out. That was the payoff. That was the action, and then the ending, the big reveal. I mean, wow, Disney! I think they did a great job with that big reveal, because I often see things coming. I can second guess a lot of stuff, and I see that, oh yeah, this is going to happen, that's going to happen. 50-year-old, and then for it to be the child. Was that spoiled for you? Because did you see anything at all on social media, or did you get it and were you just blown away, or what, fellas?
I think if I'd have waited till spring 2020, it'd have been massively spoiled. So I am actually glad I pirated it and that I didn't know when I watched it, and they kept it. I knew there was going to be Yodas in it. Now I'd been on makingstarwars.net. They used to run all the all the spoilers and all the behind the scenes stuff, and there was a report that there was Yoda masks on set.
Right.
So I knew that. I mean, they might have just been background characters. I had no idea that it was going to play the part that it ended up being, or be a juvenile version of Yoda.
Right.
It was superb, and a very ET-esque, as they each reached their fingers out to one another. Another nod to another film legend, that Steven Spielberg.
Stephen who?
Is he gone? Dan?
I'm still here. I'm just letting him get his bullshit
in. Yeah. God, Stu. So, what did you? Were you watching this with Toby, or what?
Probably not at the time. He loves it now.
Yeah.
What year was we say this was? Not 2019.
2019. This one.
7 years ago, it would have been a 7. Yeah, I thought you'd have been right for it. I think we did watch it, but I don't think I watched it with him first time.
Yeah.
No, I don't think I knew that there was a baby Yoda coming until I saw it, and I've got recollections of going, "Oh my god,
yeah,
look what they've done." Woo woo woo.
But it was the music which went with that. Because it had been lots of action, lots of energy, but then the whole musical score which accompanied that, Ludwig's piece with the child. I thought it was really tender. It was really, really good. It was very sort of, oh, I did not see that coming, and then cut to credits. But what you see is that whole confliction. It's so clever, isn't it? How so much can be conveyed, so much can be portrayed by the reflection of a T-visor or a helmet, where the camera is like up close to Mandalorian, and you can almost see a confliction in his mind through this T-visor. Clearly you can't see his eyes, but just from the acting and from the camera work and from the slight subtle head nods and stuff, when the IG unit just says, no, it was quite clear, we can take him in, dead. And he says that, and then you see the muzzle flash, the blaster flash reflection in Mando's T-visor, and you're like, oh, that's it. And then next shot, like half a second later, IG-11 down on the deck, and that's when you then see Baby Yoda's hands reaching up to him. Cut to credits. You're like, whoa! I gotta watch that. I gotta watch the next episode.
Yeah, that whole scene was brilliantly done.
It was
perfectly timed, well paced. Yeah, it's really good.
Really, really great. For that opening pilot, I don't think that could have been much better. I don't know anyone who didn't like it. In fact, Dan, you recently did a poll, didn't you, on We Are Generation Skywalker Facebook group?
Yeah, just threw it out there, just what everyone's kind of star rating was for the first episode of Mando, knowing that we were doing this. And yeah, it came back a resounding 5 stars. We didn't get a single vote less than 5 stars. So yeah, I don't think we've ever had that.
No, go on.
Is it the best episode 1 of all of the Star Wars TV shows?
Ooh, there's a question.
I think so.
I
can't think of a better one.
Thought so.
I know Andor, we love Andor, but Andor's a slow burn, isn't it? Where this was like straight into the action. By the end of 40 minutes, is this episode 39 minutes, something like that?
Yeah, 41.
You're in love with Mando. You love him as a character. You love Baby Yoda. You love IG. You love Quill because he reminds you of your little podcast mate. You love the blurg. It's just fast paced, great ship, great characters, great scenes. It's that or Acolyte, but.
There we go. I said it would come. So yeah, you're absolutely right. I think it was probably the number one pilot. Funny, isn't it? That being the first one, and it's no surprise now that Disney know that they're onto a good thing as long as the writing is good, as long as people have got the time for that writing to percolate, to get cooked properly, and to have the full production behind it without it being rushed, that they've got some secret sauce there. And there has to be more money in cinema than in streaming. So completely understand why they're going for this movie. So as an opening episode, yeah, absolutely brilliant. People loved it. We couldn't wait for the next one. There was dodgy downloading going on all over the place. And I look forward to covering the rest of season 1 with you on our next show.
I will initiate self-destruct.
Do not self-destruct! We're shooting our way out! Okay. New plan!
Beginning self-destruct countdown.
No, stop! Draw their fire, I'll take it out!
Acceptable.
Go!
Lads, yeah, it's got me excited. I watched the show the other day with Jules, and I think over a couple of nights we ended up going through all of season 1, and now we started season 2. As we know, throughout season 1, 2, and 3, there's some great shows. There's some awesome episodes. There's somewhat some people might call filler, and there's a few disappointments along the way. But as it goes, I think this is one of those things where I'm going to look forward to recording the next few shows with you guys about The Mandalorian. And this is the journey to the Mandalorian and Grogu film release in May. So I certainly hope that you're going to be able to join me for the next recording, which will be covering the rest of season 1 right up until the very end.
This is the way.
This is the way.
This is the way.
Yeah, right. Exciting times. I'm gonna get busy, lads. We're gonna have a chat and figure out when we're gonna do the next show amongst all the other releases which Dan is bringing out at the moment, and we are cooking. Talking of which, Stu, for the benefit of those people who might not be familiar with the show, can you give us a rundown of what Generation Skywalker is about and has been up to?
Okay, yeah. Well, lots and lots of episodes we have released. I mean, last year was an absolute fest. How many shows did we do in the end? 35? Have I got that right?
Sounds right to me.
Yeah, something like that. And I think this is like the third or fourth this year. A little bit slower starting off this year, but lots and lots to delve into, whether it's vintage toys, looking at the shows, commentaries, modern toys, or even committees where we take a topic and we discuss it for a top 10. So go back and check out our previous shows. You can find us on all podcast platforms. Even just like say to your Alexa, play Generation Skywalker, and that will give you the most latest episode, and then you can just go back from there. So all places you can listen to us. You can also find us on social media. Check us out on Facebook. You can just search for Generation Skywalker. That will take you to our main page. Or we also have the We Are Generation Skywalker community page where we encourage conversation. Check us out on Instagram. Again, look for Generation Skywalker. And we also have a vintage page. I'm not sure what that is.
It's Gen_Skywalker_vintage.
Okay, that was the simplest thing we could find, was it? Yeah. Check us out on YouTube. There's the odd new video, but there is a backlog of some fantastic work, particularly from Craig when he was with us. So please check us out, like us, and actually, whatever platform you're listening to, please just go and give us a 5-star review. It really does help, and doesn't cost you anything, but it gives us some massive relief, doesn't it, Jez? It gives you massive relief.
Nice. Yeah, I love it. Yeah.
Back to you, Jez.
Awesome. Lads, it's been great. I think hopefully it's been nice and surprising for you, just reliving and going back and just starting to build your enthusiasm and energy for Star Wars. I know that we're huge Andor fans. We are massive Andor fans, and I know that we've probably been feeling a little bit let down in some areas by Disney, but over the years. However, what I'm excited about this is I think this is Star Wars for everyone. Whereas I know that things like the Andor show, I absolutely adore, but I know that my younger nephews and stuff like that wouldn't watch that as much. Whereas I think Mandalorian is for everyone, and it's one of those things where I can't wait to see what the film brings and how it opens up our galaxy far, far away. So thank you so much for joining us.
You got my heartfelt gratitude.
But until next time, it's going to be, it's goodbye from Dan.
We have spoken.
It's goodbye from Stu.
See you later.
And it's thanks ever so much once again, and goodbye from Martin.
Cheers, gents. It's been a pleasure.
And it's goodbye from me. We are Generation Skywalker, all eras, all passions, all Star Wars.